You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel.
We present Tears of the Devil by John Fryer with Nigel Peaver, Richard Graylin, Jeff Bainham and Robin Ingram as the banker. The play is set in a fictional White House in the early years of the 21st century. Episode 3.
I am listening.
You may inform your friends in the energy community that the days of oil reliance are over. From here on in, serious investment in electrical output for automobile, airplane and power station production will overtake and replace the ever-staggering military budget. No more conquering armies across the regions of this world. Now we shall invest in the survival of the American people, and not the fill our pockets while the good times last policies of successive administrations. This country is going to have to grow up, and grow up fast. We're going to introduce a carbon tax and dramatically improve automobile fuel efficiency. We're going to create a future for our children that doesn't currently exist. This nation, I believe, is mature enough to not only change the way it lives and how it has lived with its neighbors, for example, the rest of the world, but can and will lead the globe in a new frontier and a new way of living. No longer surviving off the back of human suffering, but by forms of energy that will no longer require wars and the deaths of innocents, just because we want what they have, and we don't want or can't afford to pay for it. The time of those like you, David, is over. The future will be different from today. The future will be better than today. People like me will make that change possible, and it starts now.
Oh, that's very good. I almost believed some of it myself.
This is no speech of blind hope to Congress, David. This is what we're going to do.
The oil companies will fight you, tooth and nail.
Let them.
Brave words indeed.
Don't think you can patronize me, David.
They'll let the pumps run dry and the lights go out.
Let them set themselves up as the enemy of the American people. Eventually, they'll realize that people will come to understand that the situation is not sustainable, and we cannot continue on as we have been. Then your friends will be seen as destroyers of human life and the holders back of much-needed change. But painful as that change will be, one day it must come.
If you're decided, Mr. President, then you've decided.
I have.
Will you announce it at tomorrow's function?
I will.
In that case, Mr. President, there is no more to say. With your permission, good night.
Good night, Mr. Secretary.
Good night, Mr. President. Mr. Ambassador, I thought you were waiting in the mural room.
Our people are at the Golan Heights. Has the attack been cancelled?
Have them meet the men by the black Land Cruiser. The guards will let them through.
But your attack...
Just tell them...
But what is happening?
We are holding until we receive confirmation that your men are at the checkpoint. Until that moment, our planes will stay on station. Now, are they at the Land Cruiser?
I shall send word. I'll let you know when they are in position.
Oh, don't bother. I'll know. I wouldn't hang around too long if I were you.
Hello?
General Mahmoud, there's been a change of plan. I want you to speak to your contacts. Nothing is going to happen tonight. The attack has been delayed. For technical reasons. We're working on things at this end. Please, keep your people in a state of readiness. I assure you, it will not be long. Just keep your guest in place a little while longer. Are they at the checkpoint? Can you confirm all the targets? Engage Operation Rogue Element 1. The EEOB? This is Secretary of Defense David Sterling. I want to know the movements tomorrow of the Vice President. No, I know the movements of the President. He's addressing students at Washington University in the morning to announce his re-election campaign. What I want to know is where Vice President Robinson will be at 10:30.
It now seems that all the rumors of a scheduled airstrike against the Syrian capital have been false. In fact, not only has there been no military action reported in the Syrian theater of war, but there has also been a rumor going around Washington of a possible withdrawal of coalition troops from the Middle East. Military commanders are privately saying that they feel the threat of force alone has brought Damascus back to the negotiating table. Everyone seems to have been expecting war, but last night they didn't get it. Not only that, but with the appearance of now stepping back from the brink of conflict, the sun once again rises over the people of the Syrian capital. One can only imagine how relieved they must be that last night did not bring military action. And in an unrelated incident in the Golan Heights last night, a suicide bomber blew himself up at an army checkpoint at the crossover point into Syria. 8 Syrian citizens were killed in the action and 24 injured by the attack. An Israeli spokesman said that the government would be reviewing security before the latest round of peace talks scheduled for later this month. Other news today. It was confirmed that the latest girl band to take the nation by storm have announced they are splitting up after only...
Good morning.
Morning.
You look like you haven't slept.
Things to do.
Seems odd being in the Oval Office without the president.
He'll be here soon.
You never told me you had a brother?
Didn't I?
No.
Must have slipped my mind.
Employed by the agency?
I wouldn't know about such things.
I'm not sure about that.
What's your point, Carl?
He was posted to Beirut.
Who says?
He was section chief over there.
He was always clever.
But not clever enough. Not as clever as you, was he?
I don't know where you're going with this, Carl.
My friend spoke to me again.
You have friends.
I have 1 or 2 friends in the intelligence community.
Doesn't everyone in Washington?
Richard. That's the name of one of the guys whose death almost justified your war by going down with that ship. His surname is, or I should say was...
Reinhard.
Yes. The son of Hugo Reinhard. Our old friend from the campaign 4 years ago and currently ambassador to London.
And he was the one who leaked all the information to you.
Apparently he's coming over. Wants to make a press statement on some subject or other. I really couldn't tell you what, but it should definitely be worth listening to. Who knows what he might say? Whatever it is, the president will have to be seen to respond. Wouldn't you agree? Apparently he'll be here day after tomorrow.
Do you know which flight he'll be on?
I'm sure you'll find out. What a world we live in.
You live in the real world, Carl. Just like me.
Your brother was picked up by Hezbollah and held by them for years, in fact. That's what I heard.
Did you?
And then recently he was moved.
Was he?
I think you know he was. Him and half a dozen other ex-intelligence officers that Uncle Sam would rather forget about. Officers, in truth, whose families were informed were already dead. That's what the CIA team was doing over there in the Sudan, confirming that the hostages were, in fact, still alive. I'm guessing that the team leader, a man called Joe Pullen, was told it was to effect a rescue. Pullen made contact with a local crime family and persuaded them to act as the team's eyes and ears because they had contacts in the prison at Akik. And for the local godfather, Pullen agreed to allow cocaine to be shipped to his contacts in the States, using the British oil tanker, the Ocean Spirit, as the unofficial courier.
You expect me to confirm any of this?
But due to political considerations, Pullen was ordered to withdraw. Not too pleased with these new instructions, he sent word back to Langley of his intention to raise merry hell on his return before congressional hearings, a sort of modern-day Pentagon Papers meets the Iran-Contra affair, that sort of thing. Would have been embarrassing to have read all that on the front page of the Washington Times or watch it on C-SPAN. It would have been difficult to have kept your name out of it.
I'm sure I wouldn't know.
Of course not. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that you would know anything about a missile attack on that very same prison compound at the Sudanese city of Akik where your brother was alive and being held. Maybe it was meant to be a prison break that went wrong, who could say? I'm guessing, just guessing, mind, that while Hezbollah held the strings over those men, we couldn't move against Syria for fear that ours would be killed. Once that sword was lifted from our heads, war was on.
What else does our mutual friend say?
That Hezbollah was backed then in the 80s by men with Syrian intelligence connections, and it was to have your revenge on those men. That is what this was all about, wasn't it? Did the Ocean Spirit even sink?
Of course it sank. It was reported on television.
And Hezbollah?
Don't kid yourself, Carl. We also want the oil.
It was only your support, the American people, which kept me strong these past days. It was you, the American people, that sustained me. It was only the strength of you, the American people, that helped me see the choices that needed to be made. It was your strength of character that helped me pull back from the edge of war. It is you that I thank for the peace we all now enjoy. You have created peace for people not yet born. I pledge you my word that never again will I allow this country to be brought to the edge of conflict, the likes of which we believe were left to the annals of history. With your support in the coming months and your support for another 4 years, I will work tirelessly to make sure that this country never fights another war again.
The president is down. Repeat, the president is down.
You better get the vice president over here. He's in the Eisenhower Executive Office building this morning. We'll meet him in the Oval Office. I have a security briefing prepared for him. We already know who was behind this terrible attack on our beloved president and the action our new president must take. We know where the blame lies and what must now be done.
A new president will shortly be taking the oath of office, who I believe will see the situation in the Middle East very much different from that of his predecessor. He will not draw back from the edge of war.
These scenes, filmed only moments ago, show the final speech that President Townsend was giving when an assassin's aim ended his life. The rumor coming out of a confused Washington and the thinking at the Pentagon at this time is that those behind this evil act are none other than the group behind the destruction of the British oil tanker Ocean Spirit, the Answer. 2 days later, there was the destruction of Continental Flight 731 out of London, which killed 280 passengers and crew, including the American ambassador to the United Kingdom, Hugo Reinhard. These events have given even greater justification, if such a thing were needed, to persuade the American people for the urgent need to go after these perpetrators and invade the nation of Syria.
Episode 3 of Tears of the Devil. Nigel Peaver was David Sterling, Richard Graylin was Carl Leach, and Jeff Bainham was President Townsend. Zach Benoit was the Syrian ambassador Ahmed Bakar. Mari King and Tony Plumridge were the TV reporters, and Robin Ingram was the banker. All other parts were played by members of the cast. Artwork for the series was by Sheila Jackson, and the series is written and directed by John Fryer. Tears of the Devil, Episode 3, is an audio production for Political Art.